What's going on, everybody? I'm Jason from Som Travel Eats, and today we've got a very easy quiche that I'm going to show you how to make. This is my secret weapon. Anytime you've got family and friends over and you want to make something easy the night before and put it out the next day, the next morning for breakfast or lunch, this is it. So we've got a leek and bacon quiche. I've got my bacon going in the back. Now I'm using turkey bacon, but you can certainly use any kind of bacon that you prefer. I've got my leeks. If you're walking through the grocery store and you see this thing sticking out in the back and you're like, man, what is that? I can't tell. Is that bok choy? Is that, I don't know, green onion? Is that just some kind of leafy thing? It's called a leek. It's very similar to an onion, or it's in the onion family. It grows very similar. It gets very dirty, so you want to make sure, and you can see on here that these things are really dirty. So when you're cutting these, you've got a very long white bulb that's just towards the end of it. You want to make that cut just where the white stops and the green starts, and hang on to these things because these are really great for when you're making stock. If you don't make your own stock, you can certainly toss these, but I'm going to hang on to them because I like to make my own chicken stock. Just going to check on this bacon. So we've got some diced bacon that's rendering down here in the back. And again, this is a turkey bacon. So that's going on down there. I've got my leeks cut and washed, and I used 2 leeks for this recipe because the ones that I found were pretty big, so I didn't want to overpower with that onion flavor. And then at the bottom, I've just got some loose spinach. So once my bacon comes to just about done, I'm going to toss in my leeks and spinach. So let's give that a check. So this turkey bacon crisps up and cooks really fast. So I'm just going to give it a quick stir. I started using turkey bacon because when I was cooking for my parents a lot, my mom doesn't like to eat pork, so I switched over to the turkey bacon. It's a little bit healthier. It's not as flavorful. I normally eat regular bacon anyway, but I had the turkey bacon in the house. It was on sale, so I grabbed it. But it's turkey thighs. It's got a lot of flavor into it. It just doesn't have that same nice crisp and kind of fatty flavor and that good aroma that normal bacon has. But again, you can use whatever type of bacon you want. So now my bacon's just about halfway done. I'm going to throw in my leeks and my spinach, and I'm going to let everything start to cook down. So I've got everything in the pan. I'm going to give this a good toss. And what's beautiful about this recipe is that you don't have to use leeks. You could use regular onions. You don't have to use spinach. You could use a different type of vegetable if you want. You could use a zucchini. You could use tomatoes. You could really put anything that you want in this recipe because it's super easy to adapt. Just about any type of vegetable that you like, or protein. So I only want the bacon to get cooked about 3/4 of the way through, which is why I waited till about halfway to add the rest of my ingredients. So everything is cooking up here, and it's going to cook the rest of the way in the oven. Now, if you wanted to make your own pie dough for this, you certainly can. If you have a preference of how you like that dough to taste. For me, gluten-free dough is just easier to buy, so I got that pre-made crust. Alright, so you can see here that my leeks and my bacon and my spinach is all starting to cook down very nicely. I'm just going to go over it. I'm going to hit that with a little salt and pepper. And if you watch enough of my videos, you'll eventually see that I use paprika a lot, especially smoked paprika. I really like the smoky aroma that it gives. So I'm going to add a touch of smoked paprika here. But again, this recipe is very interchangeable, so you can do some of the things that you prefer from a flavor standpoint. So I'm going to hit this with a little fresh black pepper. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of smoked paprika. And this is just a go-to for me from a flavor perspective. Also adds a really nice color as well. Just going to give that a stir. Perfect. You know, the leeks have just a really nice onion flavor without being super overpowering. So everything's starting to cook down here. Now, if you were using regular bacon, I would probably cook these separately because there's going to be a lot of fat in the bacon itself, and you may want to separate that before you add in the leeks and the spinach because it may just end up giving you this big greasy pile of you know, junk that you're not really going to want to eat. So the turkey bacon has next to no grease in it. It's a very lean meat, so that's why I'm cooking everything in the same pan. But if you're going to do it separate, or you're going to do it with regular bacon, excuse me, I would definitely recommend doing them separate. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to get my eggs ready to go. So this particular recipe calls for 4 eggs. And we're going to use the whole egg here, so everything is just going to get cracked and then whisked right into one bowl. And then I'm just going to season this a little bit with some salt and pepper. And away it goes. So, while that's working in the background, we've got a little fresh black pepper. And a little fresh salts. Perfect. And you know, shout out to these guys. You know, I really like giving a call out to some of the brands that do really well with what they do. I've been in all kinds of different industries, and I really like to pat people on the back that do well at what they do. So this brand is Vital Farms. You know, they don't pay me, they don't know me, but I haven't been able to eat eggs for a long time, and finally my digestive tract, for whatever reason, can eat these eggs. So shout out to these guys. I really appreciate the good quality that they do. The other thing that I'm going to add to this is I'm going to add a little bit of fresh garlic. So I've got about a half a teaspoon in there. And then I'm just going to grab my whisk and I'm just going to bring this all together. Now, if you've got a larger pie crust and you feel like you need a little bit more moisture in this, you can add milk, you can add heavy cream, you can add a little water if you don't do the dairy thing. It's totally up to you. But what I'm going to add, just for an element of a little bit of sweetness, is just a little bit of almond milk. Just to kind of loosen that up a little bit. And so this recipe is really interchangeable. And then I try to stay away from dairy the best that I can, but this recipe is perfect with Parmesan. So I've got just an easy blend of Parmesan and Romano cheese here, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this right into those eggs. And then just give that a whisk because I can't say no to Parmesan. So I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. That's just about done. I've got a cocktail here from another video. And take a little sip of that. And I'm going to check on my leeks. So everything is cooked down really nice. Those leeks reduced down. I'm going to cut the heat on this. It's just a handful of spinach. Not a lot to really overpower the dish, but you can see we've got the spinach, we've got the leeks, we've got the bacon. Everything's ready to go in there. So I'm going to bring that to the side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pie crust. Now for the gluten-free one, this recommends that you bring this to temperature, to just about close to room temperature. So I let this sit out for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then I'm gonna grab my mixture and I'm just gonna put that right in to my pie crust. And this is gonna be delicious. Again, this recipe is extremely interchangeable. If there's something in here that you don't like, feel free to change it out. But for me, leeks and bacon, it just go really, really well together. All right, so now I've got my eggs, my Parmesan cheese, my salt and pepper mixture over here, a little almond milk, and then I'm just gonna take this, and this guy is just gonna get poured right on top. And make sure that you kind of move this all the way around, because you want to make sure that it's evenly distributed throughout the pie. Gorgeous. Super easy. And then I want to just kind of give it a little tap on the base, just so some of that bacon and leeks kind of fall to the bottom. So we're incorporated really nicely all the way through. So that's it, guys. I mean, it's really easy. You know, like I said, there's nothing to this recipe. You can change this out. You can flex the ingredients. You could really make this however you want. But as far as a quiche goes, gluten-free, it doesn't get any easier than this. I'm gonna put this in the oven for about 15 minutes on 400 degrees. I'm gonna come back again and check it. Just make sure that everything is cooked all the way through. If it's not, we'll put it in for another 10 minutes or so, but I always like to keep an eye on these things. I've got a gas oven in the back, and with the convection on there, it cooks a lot faster sometimes than what some of your other recipes are used to, so mine may be a little bit quicker than some of yours and vice versa. So this guy's gonna go in a preheated 400 degree oven, and we'll see him in a few minutes. In it goes. And that's all there is. So we'll check back with you in a few minutes to see how that recipe's doing. What's going on, guys? Welcome back. So I've got my quiche. It just came out of the oven. It is looking really, really good. That bacon is perfectly crisp. The leeks have nicely cooked, and that egg has set in there. This is, again, a super easy quiche recipe that you can make. So what I'm gonna do is, it's had a few minutes to just kind of cool down, and I'm just gonna come in here and I'm gonna take a nice slice of this, just so you can see how everything worked itself out. Just grab a fork. And on this gluten-free crust, like I said, it is just easy to make ahead of time. Just lost a piece of the crust there. But it's flaky, it's buttery, it just has a really good taste to it. And you can't beat this. You know, to try to get the flavors right in a gluten-free crust, if you're working at home and you're not super familiar with it, it's kind of a pain. So what we've got here is my bacon and leek quiche. This is really easy to make. I hope you guys enjoy it. I know I'm hungry. I'm gonna get in here and take a bite of this. Still warm. We've got onion flavor from the leeks. We've got really nice smokiness from the turkey bacon. We've got the nice buttery flaky crust from the gluten-free pie crust. You can't beat this. So again, hope you guys learned something. Hope you liked the video. Like, subscribe, comment, and remember to always bring your appetite. We'll see you again soon.